Hi, everyone. Thank you for stopping by Living to Do's review of Clipped, Season 1, Episode 4, called Winning Ugly. Before I get started with the review, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and I thank you in advance. So let's talk about this episode. This episode was a flashback episode. It flashed back to it flashed back to 1992, to the when the riots were happening. It's interesting the timing of this, all the stuff on the eve of Juneteenth, but we see that Doc Rivers was a Clipper player at the time, and they see how he's dealing with um, the riots, the Rodney King verdict that came down in Simi Valley. And he's with his father at his home, and his father is played by Lawrence Gilliard Jr. You remember him. He played on the best show on TV, The Wire. He plays his dad in this episode. And we see that young Doc Rivers was a real one. I didn't know that about Doc. I don't know. I didn't know that about him. Okay. And his dad and him are talking about the riots and race, and his dad, who is a retired cop, he says that, Doc, you're the type of guy that makes white people feel comfortable. I think Doc is, for some reason, he's seeing this happening to the culture, this people, though he's married to a white woman, and they show a scene where it seems like it made it look like she didn't have a good understanding of what he was going through as a black man during this time. And, having a lot of money, coming in the white neighborhoods, being accepted, but, his people, his counterparts, are on the street stealing and fighting for justice. And his wife thinks that, it's terrible they're tearing up their own community. So there's a little bit of, they don't quite understand. And then we see a flashback of V. V is in she was 2004, and she works on a food truck. And she befriends a girl who comes to the food truck and who invites her to a masquerade party. I've heard about those parties. Those parties are very much like Diddy parties. You go in, there's drinks and condoms in the bowl and whatnot, and you see people having sex all over. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And the bus comes and picks you up at 7 a.m. after your night of fun. And I'm sure the cameras are in every room, getting people in the compromising position, holding it over their head. The same old thing we've been hearing over again in our face. That's Hollywood for you. They were called sanctuary parties. And some old man, I think he was an agent of some sort, he hosts these parties and goes to them often. So sick, but it's good to see. It's good that people have another vantage point of this and know what to look out for. Oh, and get yourself caught up. So we have a flashback of the Sterlings. It's 2006 for them. And they're in their lawyer's office, and they're talking about a lawsuit that a mistress is bringing against Sterling. His wife thinks it's just someone stalking her husband, somebody, trying to get at their money, not really realizing until she's in this office that this woman was a mistress of her husband's. What a way to find out, huh? Then there's another lawsuit, and this is their slumlord lawsuits. They had apartment buildings, and they wanted to advertise mainly to Koreans. When they would advertise it for their apartment property rentals, they even had the Korean flag on there, trying to draw people in, and they wanted the black people out. and they did whatever they could to get him out. So when the apartment needed repairs, they wouldn't repair it. This one black lady was fighting. She was fighting. She wasn't going to get out of her house. They wouldn't fix anything. She was in, I don't know, a lot of water in her apartment when her daughter came to visit her. She wouldn't leave. She's standing on business. She was going to make a stance about this. But somehow it led to her death. And so her daughter was suing them. I think her name was Candace. Her daughter was Ebony Jones. So I don't know if she was Candace Jones. I don't know if that's a real story that people are going to look up. But that Shelley Sterling, at first, she kind of blew it off. She's a slumlord, and her friend, who was at the time living with her because her husband and her were going through a divorce, she wanted her to contact this lady and make things right. So they show her picking up the phone. I don't know if she actually did. They're trying to make us think that this woman does have a heart of some sort. I don't know if she really does or not. Okay, so they had their final flashback was of Elgin Baylor. This was in 2008. And it's around Christmas time, and it looks like he's receiving papers. It's kind of a demotion they want to give him. He sees it as termination. He's been the Clippers GM for 22 years, and he gets the title of the worst GM in NBA history, in which he's really mad about because the Clippers did not give him the resources to do his job right, which, he should have known that he's the scapegoat, that when things get bad, they will give you a job and they won't give you the resources to do the job. And then when it's time to let you go, they'll make it look like you weren't good at your job. It's always a setup. They always need a scapegoat. He couldn't get trades done. He had bare bone operations, he said, no resources. So he ended up suing the NBA for unlawful termination. And what happened was the jury rejected his lawsuit. He never went anywhere else because he had a stain on him for being the worst GM. And he was used because the Clippers brought him in, in the beginning, and that they used him as a pawn to entice other players because he was on the team. No, I guess he's a big time player. They call him something about above the rim. I meant to look it up. So I don't know why that would entice a player. Wouldn't you rather go somewhere with more money rather than who is the GM of the team? I don't know. But now he wants people to know the truth. And that's why he did the lawsuit. He wanted them to know how plantation-like it was inside the NBA. And this was in 2008 when they had I think hardly any black people in executive office. And I remember back then, I don't know how many black coaches they had then either. Things, I guess, have gotten a little better. I don't know the numbers. But it was a look back on recent history in the NBA. It was interesting. It wasn't the normal flow of the previous 3 episodes, but it was a history lesson nonetheless. So that was it for now. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you like other videos like this, like Winning Time, I reviewed the 2 episodes that aired. So check out my channel for those. But that's it for now. I gotta go because I got living to do. Bye.